Okay. Serenity now.
Okay. Okay. Hope you brushed your teeth.
I did, I did, but I can't tell if I'm delayed.
Yeah, you are. Let's just keep rolling with it. Hopefully it'll catch up. Now you're good. Can you hear me now?
Hmm.
Ready? One, two, three. No, no, no. Okay, ready? Let's do it together. And
What?
one.
One. Last night I was out at Tribeca Film Festival thing,
That's
but
right.
randomly we got into karaoke. I hate karaoke, but what's your karaoke go-to song if you had to be pressured to do it? I have one, I could tell you.
Yeah,
It's
it's fine.
Shoop, Salt and
Oh,
Pepper.
wow.
It's a good one. It's a classic.
Well, you know what just came up is Leanne Rimes Can't Fight the Moonlight. That's a good
Oh,
one.
that is a good one. Is that it? I feel like that gets the crowd going a little
Coyote
bit.
Ugly. Coyote Ugly.
Yeah. Are you dancing on the
Right,
table?
I'm dancing on the table with my cowboy hat. You
Ah.
can try to resist, try to hide from my kiss, but you know. I don't even remember what that was about. Like,
It was like
oh, they were
Piper,
bartending. They were
yeah,
bartending.
bartending, and she
Right.
came to the
Right.
city and she
Yeah.
was making her
Was
way.
Britney Spears in that?
I don't
No.
know. Now that you say that, did she have a cameo or something? I just
Um,
remember Piper
Yeah,
Perabo. It's,
Piper Perabo. Piper Perabo. She
I
kind of
love
looks
that
like
song.
Alex Cooper.
Oh yeah, she does actually. We
Hello.
have her.
Look
Hi,
how beautiful you look today, Miss
Oh my
Kimberly.
God, bringing it with
Kimberly.
this all cream white. I'm into it. You look fabulous. Nice to meet you.
And look in my all cream house. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Yeah,
being here. It's a monochromatic day at Kimberly Taylor.
very.
So, hello.
It's like spraying perfume, getting ready. I was so nervous, and then I said, "Wait, nobody's, no one can smell me."
Okay, to be honest, I did the same thing because it makes me feel like getting into it.
I never wear shoes in my house, and today I wear shoes when I'm sitting at my desk. It gives me that
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, we're
Wait,
ready.
Kimberly, before we get started, what's your scent today?
Actually, I'm wearing the YSL, the pretty, I
Oh, the
always
like,
gift that to people. It's their new scent,
oh,
Libre. It looks
okay.
so pretty in the bathroom. And then one day I like ran out of my Coco Mademoiselle and I sprayed it. I was like, oh, this actually like smells really nice. So it's a
Oh, okay.
backup scent, but
It's a back.
I'm in.
All right.
Gotta have that backup scent,
I
everybody.
know you do.
All right, here we
Okay, are
go.
we getting into it?
We are.
Okay, welcome back to
Sure.
Hustle and Schmear, the podcast where ambition meets avocado toast and a little bit of gossip is always gluten free.
Today's guest is Kimberly Taylor Gindi, designer, retail heiress, and the unofficial it girl.
She had a fashion brand in her 20s that took off like a bagel out of a toaster. Then she pivoted, paused, reinvented, and is now back with a bang. She is sold on revolve.com and slaying social media like it's a runway.
And let's be real, her social calendar is more curated than an exhibit at the Gagosian. From the fashion front row to hobnobbing with Anna Wintour to Shabbat table in stilettos, she does it all. Kimberly, welcome to the pod.
Welcome.
So what an intro.
Excited.
Wow.
We know you're in Miami and you're in your apartment,
Yeah.
right? How long have you been in Miami?
It's been 3 years now. So I don't know
And
where that
what's
places me on the Miami, but it's been 3
no,
years.
you're kind
I
of
love it here.
official, I would say.
I don't have plans to leave. Miami's been very good to me.
Okay, I guess we'll start with who is Kimberly Taylor Gindi, the woman? We know you're in Miami now, but where are you from? And what was it like growing up Gindi?
Oh, it's funny. I don't really think about this too much, but I'm from Brooklyn originally. I grew up in
Okay.
Brooklyn. I have a really big family, but that's what it was like growing up Gindi. Very big family. I have 4 siblings. I'm number 4 of 5. I have 15 nieces and nephews. I have 2 great nephews. So we are a tribe. So family culture, that was it. Definitely. I spent my whole life in New York.
Were you in Brooklyn and Deal, New Jersey? I'm assuming, I think you're
We were in
Syrian
Deal,
too.
New Jersey. Yeah, I was born in New
Okay.
Jersey. We moved to Brooklyn for the winters when I was 3. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
so
you kind of
spent the
did both.
summers in New Jersey, super beautiful there, and then the winters in Brooklyn.
Okay, got it.
So you claim a little bit more New York or a little bit more Jersey?
I'm only in Jersey for 2 months, but there's nothing wrong with Jersey. I laugh at people who make fun of it. You haven't been, it's not what you think, but that's okay. It can be our best kept secret. It's super beautiful
Right?
there by the water. Yeah.
Also, like Deal, New Jersey, not for nothing, the homes there are fantastic. If you haven't been, they're gorgeous.
They're beautiful. It's all about community there. It's all
Yeah.
about, visiting friends, and it's not really about the town itself. It's more just, the people, and it's super peaceful in the summer.
Yeah.
So how'd you get into fashion?
Oh, I did not go to school for fashion. I was a good student. I really cared about my grades. I went to Hebrew school for 12 years.
Wow.
And then I went to NYU. I was with the hippies at Gallatin.
Oh,
I studied,
NYU. We all went to NYU. Yay.
it's like
Gallatin here as well.
right here. But Gallatin, it's for the hippies. So I really enjoyed that. We didn't have exams. I remember to graduate, I had to kind of do a colloquium proving that I read all these books, and it was very
Oh, wow.
abstract. It was a lot of ideas. It was very much up my alley, but I was always around fashion. My dad was a retailer. He was always into fashion. My mom was a fashion plate. If she wasn't in her, comfy clothes, she didn't get overdressed for every day. She was just one of those 90s natural beauties.
Okay.
But, I was always surrounded by fashion. So it was kind of in me. And then I decided to start my line really with no experience, to be honest.
Wow.
And so I went to the Needle and Thread information booth in the Garment District in New York. They have a little booth on 38th and 7th Avenue or something like that. And I asked them, for a list of factories because I wanted to start this line that I decided the night before. And they printed me 50 sheets of paper, and I went to factory A&A. I'll never forget. It was like the first one on this list. And,
Right.
I came up with some samples. I made some flyers, and I sold my first samples at a trunk show in my parents' dining room in Brooklyn. And we raised
When was this? How was this right after NYU or when was
2007,
this?
maybe. Yeah.
Okay, was this
No,
after
yeah, right after
after you
school.
graduated?
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
got it.
And then I raised $15,000 in my dining room that day selling sample. I didn't even know what was happening. It was just like that. And that's really my gift. My gift is expediting, not so much thinking things through, but just making them happen. You hear of friends who have these ideas that they've been sitting on for 10, that will never be me. So that was
You're like,
kind of
let's
the
get the
beginning
show
of
on
it.
the road.
And was your mom's style similar to yours? Or
Well, my mom's style, when she got dressed up, first of all, my grandmother, we love cream. That's our thing. So like suits, cream, always chic that way. But she was glamorous, always glamorous. And her everyday style was jeans and t-shirt. But then when it was time to get dressed up for an affair or somewhere to go, she was always, the bar mitzvahs, picture hats,
Head to
tights,
toe.
yeah. She was wearing a laya back in the day. It was a
Oh,
whole
wow.
oh yeah. Did you
Okay.
keep any of those or what? Have we?
My dad had a retail store where he was selling runway samples, so she really had the hook up there, and she wore it so well, and she has gorgeous style.
Did you go to work with your
I
dad?
was too young, just wandered around.
Where was his store? In
It was in
Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, yeah. His store was in Brooklyn. I was too little, but I remember wandering around, and I always wore last year's Versace. So
Yeah.
Too
I was
bad.
gonna say, probably not so bad.
I still find things with tickets from there. Old McQueen suit, really beautiful archive.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need a tour. That might be like part 2 of this. We need a
What's
tour.
left? I
Really.
would say I was
So,
very
okay.
influenced by my mom's style.
So I want to go back. You found these factories, you launched these samples.
That's right.
What was the next step?
So the
from
next step was
there?
getting into stores. The first store I got into was Intermix at the time.
Oh, wow.
And then at the same time, I got into Henry Bendel. I'm really dating myself
Ah.
here.
So this
Oh,
was in
wow.
like Haro and Kajak and Sari
That's
days.
right,
We're
yeah.
at Intermix. That was when Intermix was at its height.
At the
It
peak
was-
of Intermix and Bendel's, and I snuck in with samples to the buyers and put somebody's name on it. I remember at Intermix, I think her name was Lauren Frost. Some things you just
Lauren Forst, who is actually a friend of mine, and she lives in Paris now and has 2 kids and used to be the head buyer for Kierna Zabet. Yeah.
Shout
out
to
Lauren Forst. We love you.
career. Yeah.
Wow.
I put her name on the garment bag, and then I got a call back, and they were like, "You can do a trunk show." And I remember it was a snowstorm. I was going in the basement, dropping this stuff off in my sweatpants, and then I had to glam and go back and stand there. Barely anyone's walking into the store. It's horrific outside. It was the time of the tunic.
Yeah.
I had a silk tunic, almost like Tory Burch-esque, with leggings.
Okay.
And to give you an exact reference in time,
look.
and I sold more of my stuff that day than they sold in the entire bundles, and they placed an order, and then that's kind of, I went
And
to my
then
dad. I was like, I have these 2 orders. I have no idea what I'm doing. Please send help.
So what does he say? What does he say when you say that to him?
He was so sweet. He came out of retirement and he helped me launch my wholesale business at the time. And we opened an office together in Bryant Park and we started cracking at it. I had to get a showroom.
did you hire anyone at that time?
Team. It was full speed ahead. Within 3 years, we were selling 10 countries. Wholesale. So
That's
it
incredible.
was wild, but everything was like door knocking. Getting into showrooms was so difficult. I had no experience. I didn't know what a line sheet was. I'd go into meetings and go back and research, and it was really like a learn as you go experience. But I think the thing that was so great was I really had all this time to put into it and all this energy. In your 20s, you really just have that hustle, I guess. And so I gave it my absolute all. I really did. And it was my identity at that time. I had just moved to the city. This was my whole life.
What was the price point of the merchandise back then?
Going out dresses out of 100% silk that were lined were around $250.
Oh, wow.
So
That's not
gone
bad.
for those days, but yeah, my line at that time was all 100% silk. It was all made in New York. So that was the price point, $250 for a dress.
So you guys grew the business, you're at 10 stores, then what happened?
So we had our retail store in New York around the beginning of when pop-ups started happening. My store was in the meatpacking district. We signed a 13-month lease right where the Kiel store is now. That was a great platform for the brand to grow, and it gave us a lot of visibility and attention, which was wonderful. I didn't have too much time to put into the store, and then what happened was we were selling all these department stores, and with the economy turning, I couldn't get these stores factor approved. So I didn't have insurance. If I shipped out a giant order, that they would pay me. And I had the choice to keep my business going or to close it. And it was a very difficult choice, but I chose to close the business because I didn't want to take that risk. I'll take a gamble at things that are lower stakes and kind of throw caution to the wind. But when it comes to, there were people around me and there was money involved, and I didn't feel comfortable shipping all those orders.
No, and like Hilden didn't want a factor.
Stores would not get approved at that time. Nobody had good.
Uh-huh.
So it was like, no.
That's quite a risk, especially during that time.
Yeah, we were selling all over. And honestly, internationally, it was totally fine. It was more nationally that was the issue. When you're a small business, people don't realize, and I know this is a big topic right now, but when you sell a department store, if you get a chargeback, that could put you out of business. Right. So it was a really tough decision. And
you were going for a while.
Yeah,
I mean,
we were
this was like your life.
and things were going well, and the brand was growing, and obviously, like with each season we improved, and definitely the fit was getting better. There's things that people don't realize across, the board, and
just when you're starting to get, it's like, but it's like,
and then I was like, I just can't do it. I can't risk this. It was time to do some personal development. I always say this, like, there are two people. It's like Kimberly Taylor, the brand, and Kimberly Taylor, the person. And at that point, I had put so much into this. I really neglected my own identity outside of the brand. And it was time to do a little soul searching and take a pause. And it was really hard. It was really hard to close.
How did you feel? Like, how did you take that pause? What were you doing in that time? I'm assuming it's devastating, really. It's like a baby that you've built.
I was so young, and I had peaked so young. I felt a lot of my conversations from there forward were about people coming to me like, why did you close your own? I loved your stuff. And so you're kind of living in the past in this peak in your life. And I just felt I'm just way too young to have these conversations. And so
like, this is not it. This is just the start.
It's hard to relive that,
Yeah.
It's hard to relive that. I did that with the Kingdom when we closed, and I thought that chapter ended, and you have to talk about it every time you see someone that's how's the store. It's like, no, it's tough. You're so close to a product that you make, the brand. It's your baby, your art, it's your child.
I also think, like, when people name their brand after themselves, that's really a commitment. And I advise people to do it because I think you can hide behind another name. And, I think that's kind of a cop-out. It doesn't have to be, but to me, I felt like if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it 100%. I didn't take my family name. It's my first name and my middle name, but I'm going to own this. Like, if somebody has my product in their closet I want to feel proud of that product. When people ask to return things to me, they're always so surprised at how easy I take returns, even if it's against my policy. I don't want people having resentment towards me,
You want
on
them to
daily.
enjoy what's in the closet.
Yeah, and if something came in defective, I mean, it can happen. Just give it back
Oh,
to me.
yeah.
Give me the opportunity to fix it, So
Right.
I think you really do stand behind your product. But then when you do close your business, you're also like, you're closing a chapter of you. And at that point, I was hoping, I'd be resilient. I'd figure the next step out. And it took me a minute to figure that out, but I did. I took on a few different jobs. I worked at Intermix. So I started, on the other end of things after having my own brand. They were teaching me how to sell product. I was like, I think I can.
What store were you at?
They started me at meatpacking before it was busy. Then they moved me to Fifth Avenue. Then they moved me to Soho. Then they moved me to Madison, all like within a year. I was like, I mean, I made more money when I worked at Intermix than I'm making now, for sure. 100%. It was a great gig and I enjoyed it. And I think also working in services, it's just a huge learning experience. You forget what it's like to be on the other side of things. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I love being busy. I love selling. It's great. And being front facing to people. So I thought that was wonderful. And then one day when I was at Madison Avenue, this woman that I grew up with that I knew, she was a family friend. She came in and said, I've been looking for you. My husband has a job for you. We had a meeting and we're creating this position in this huge real estate company. And we were thinking you are the perfect person for this. And then she just
Took you out.
that was it.
Was
What
that,
was the position?
was
So
that
this
at
is
Thor?
totally.
Yeah,
go
that was
ahead.
at
Was
Thor.
that at Thor Equities?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
at Thor Equities. I worked for Joe Sid, his wife Betty, picked me out of Intermix, and I traveled the world for them to Vogue conferences. Like really it was what an experience. And I was there to meet the CEOs of huge luxury brands and bring them to their premier retail spaces around the world. So I was their global fashion director, and what an experience it was. It was, my first time in the luxury world, and I really had to take ownership of this role that they created for me. And I took a lot of pride in it, and I enjoyed it very much. I learned a lot, and I put myself in uncomfortable situations, and really it was kind of sink or swim, but I really enjoyed the exposure to that, sensation.
And did you meet, I'm assuming from this experience, because you kind of jumped, but it was all sort of related. What were you taking out of those experiences that you've now maybe taken with you to your next phase of life?
I mean, I think taking up space in a big room
Mhm.
it was a big one. I would fly across the world and then need to approach these people I was so far out of my depths, it was not even funny. And I had to really put on this confidence to approach people and own my majorness and just be like, hi, and get to the point and really be a bit more aggressive than I'm naturally inclined to be. And so I think that's the skill that I took away from it. Take a deep breath, go for it. If you fail, like who cares? Who cares?
Will be
Like we're all
tomorrow.
people. It's okay.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what I took out of it.
I love that. I think that's great advice. And I think that even follows us, even when you feel you're confident, even when you do deserve to be in the room, sometimes you still need that reminder.
Absolutely.
So I love that.
And I credit
That's a
Joe for
good,
that. He's such he's a really eccentric guy. He does business in a really interesting way. And he always gave me the confidence. He was like, go
You
for
can
it,
do it.
yours, do it. Like, show me what you got. And when someone puts that faith in you, I think it really, it gives you a
It's
chance.
so important to your growth. And it does give you that confidence where you're like, okay, this guy who knows what he's doing feels like I can do it. Yeah, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
that's
It was
kudos
cool.
to him.
Yeah.
What happened from Thor?
I was there for 2 years.
And it was a whirlwind.
It was a whirlwind. We leased a lot of properties. And
Were you even in New York? I'm just thinking about like
New
your
York.
life. No, but you said you were traveling all the time. Like, were
Yeah,
you just on the plane?
I was going to London every other month. They had an office on Savile Row there. I was going to Paris.
Oh, wow.
I went to Oman, Shanghai, Lisbon.
Oh, wow.
I was meeting Olivier Roustier. I'm in the car with him on the way to the gal. I mean, it was just crazy.
Oh my gosh.
I had no
Okay.
idea.
Sounds like The Amazing Race.
No, it was incredible. And I went alone. So things would happen to me
Wow.
and I'd be like, did anybody see
You're like,
that?
yeah, you're like, did I just imagine that? That's so.
Did you ever feel lonely traveling by yourself? Were you
No,
ever-
never.
Okay.
I never did. I can make
Yeah.
friends wherever I go, and I don't mind a little alone time and reflecting. So
Right. Yeah, no, it's fun. It's
so
fun.
I enjoyed it. I just took the best of it.
So your previous label had a big following. What prompted you to bring it back? And how is this version different than the last version?
So the world completely changed. We entered into a digital age. I will say I did have an online store in KT 1.0. So that was kind of, I look back and I'm like, oh, look at us. We had an online store. But yeah, the world had changed. Instagram was now a thing. I remember when I had it the first time, it was like what we used for filters on Facebook. So that had really changed. And I think with that comes being able to speak to your final consumer directly. And that was the pivot. I cashed in my 401k. As in everything I do, I had this idea overnight, did not think it through at all, went on a lunch break and visited the factory. And then the next day, I placed the order. This is how it works with me. It's on a napkin and just a lot of very important.
With your gut. You're leading with your gut.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. And I get myself into lots of trouble that way, but also, success. But I just decided kind of overnight, my role was changing and it wasn't in a direction that I was excited enough about. And so I decided to launch the brand direct to consumer. My aesthetic is really quite similar, which is kind of impressive. I'm very consistent with the vision for the brand. So it was still minimal. Everything was still produced in New York. So the lead times are a lot shorter. The minimums are a lot smaller. So in that respect, I relaunched without telling anybody. And now it was, with a Shopify website that I created. And now I didn't have a team of whatever, my other office, maybe I had 4 girls there and also a showroom, a warehouse. Now everything was just me. My dad said to me, I love you. I'm not ready to dive back in with you. Right. Good luck. I'm here for you, but also you're on your own.
Do it on your own. Like
this is your chance. If this is what you want to do. I mean, he was so happy when I was collecting a salary and health insurance, and he was not thrilled about this decision.
He wants you to have the safety.
I totally get it,
Right.
He did give me so much of himself in that first go, so I couldn't really be upset about it, but I believed in it and I relaunched, and it was a lot. I put myself in debt, which was horrible, and there were times where I just didn't understand what the next move was. I had my back against the wall. I remember I owed $60,000 on my credit cards. And I was, what am I going to do?
Did you feel you couldn't, was your risk tolerance a little bit different now because money was more on the line, or were you still able to kind of bifurcate the two and focus on the quality and the product?
I mean, I would just, in these situations where things would go really smooth and then there would be a hiccup, but there was just no one to bounce the ideas off of. And so I'd have to dig myself out of a hole and then promise myself I wouldn't get myself in that hole again. But I'm always resourceful. I mean, when that happened, for example, I had to make a strategy and write it all down. We're going to try and sell this amount of, inventory here. We're going to do these 3 shows. And I never had anyone bail me out. And I have no debt now. I have no investors. I have no
awesome.
debt. If there's a will, there's a way. But it took a lot out of me to figure this out.
Can you share what the biggest mistake that did hit hard? Was it I ordered too much fabric? I trusted some retailer? What was it that was like, whoa, let's not make that again? Because I'm full of them, so it's not just one.
A few things. I think everybody has their strengths, and I think that finances are not my strength, and I should have outsourced that and delegated that and made sure that someone was on top of me from the beginning. I think if you know your numbers throughout your business, you sleep better at night. I also, from a mental health perspective, I had the issue where I was living where my clothes were. So I was in a New York City apartment looking at my inventory, in my sleep. That's not healthy. You need some kind of separation.
You need separation.
Whether it be just a door, a curtain, something, so that when you sleep, it's not everything. And also for me personally, I would visit my factory and I would find rolls and rolls of fabric that were never used. And that's money just sitting right there. Yeah. And so there are many factors that lead to that. In this business, it ebbs and flows. There are times you need to put money in to get money out. And I think I'm going to just say this, like, as a woman, I have a very hard time investing in something knowing that it takes money to make money. I would get so anxious every time I have to lay out for an order for a season, even though I knew I would be able to sell it months down the line. I didn't understand interest. I was putting things on credit card. I didn't understand that even if I was making all this money, I was paying interest on bills that I had. So I ran a very lean business. I didn't allow for this rollover, and it put me in a bad situation. But like I said, I got myself out. I turned to people that I respected for advice, and I did not leave my house until everything was sold. So
And I think like you, there are many designers out there now who are starting who say to Parsons and FIT, you know, thanks for the classes about how to cut fabric, how to design, but we really need to know how to do financial planning, how
Yeah,
to
run a
do
business.
how to really run the business. And it's
Right.
also not just textbook situation. I mean, obviously there's nothing like putting your hands in it, but you need to be
Right.
prepared. And when I grew up back in the day, there was nothing that prepared us when we were doing a handbag line or anything like that.
But even anything like I would say education in and of itself, I didn't learn how to balance a check or do any of that, and and that would have been helpful versus
Right, but also where were was your dad somebody who taught you how to balance a checkbook? Was your mom the one that taught you how to balance a checkbook, Liz? I mean, what did you do?
me.
someone to show me.
No, I wouldn't say I work with a good budget like that. I am not your girl for that. It's just that's not
But
my
I
shit.
remember Robin Salstein balancing a checkbook. Like I remember her after she
Me too.
wrote something out, she would flip
Oh,
the back of it, and then they would write and deduct, and it was like,
oh God. Okay, that's very old
Bad
school.
habits from my family. They have good habits. I just
Right.
don't have any habits. That's the issue. And so I've learned the hard way. It's like you burn your hand, you burn your, and finally now I am
Right.
completely aware of everything that's going on in my business. And I can tell you, as a creative, you want to be spending your time planning, the next collection. But the
Right.
reality is everything that's sitting there that hasn't sold is your profit. And like
Right.
that's the biggest lesson my dad told me. He's like, inventory is death. And all this stuff that's sitting here, as unexciting as it is at this point, when you're past it and you've launched it already and you've shown it a million, to how many times can you rewear the blazer, resell? But you know what? That's where the dollars are. So if you
Right.
plan for that last bit,
Hmm.
you're going home in the plus.
Right.
So
Well, it's
so
hard to
Liz,
have
let's
like
keep
those
that
two.
bolt of fabric of flowers to the side of the, okay? We don't need to bring that into
I
the
mean, it's
studio.
like I can't. Sometimes you got to burn, but sometimes you got to burn it. I'm like, whew.
Yeah, you think, what the hell was I thinking? And some decisions are just no, no.
Oh.
I used to tell my sales girls that they would win a prize if they sold the last of an ugly color or an odd color, and that wouldn't merchandise anymore. Whoever gets this wins a dinner or wins a mani pedi.
I wanted to talk about, so because you were talking about the design process, but also being the business person. I'm curious about your design process and how you think about new collections and also being able to still have that creative space while you also know I do have to sell this. I do have to run a business.
Yeah.
That is hard. I would imagine that's very hard.
And you don't follow the fashion calendar. So it's more about when you think it's important to show a new collection,
That's
right? So does
yeah.
that affect your design process as well?
It does. My design process is very organic. We'll go with that word. It usually comes to me in the middle of the night, similar to when it comes to me to move furniture and redecorate or start a project. It's all after hours.
Right.
But I will say I really build off of what exists already. I want my products to be products that people really savor and keep with them. It's not here today, gone tomorrow. It's about this wardrobe edit that everybody talks about. But in reality, if I made a pant and an amazing, vest, next season I'll make the bustier and the blazer. And then the next time I'll make the oversized blazer and the jumpsuit. And so like you build, and if you come to me, you'll always find the same palette over and over. You really are curating these pieces that you can, wear for years to come, and people really do. And that's the biggest, that's my favorite part about this, is when someone tells me I've been wearing this to death. It served me so many purposes. I always feel great in it. And that's kind of part of the design process for me, but things come to me in spurts and I follow my intuition.
Mhm.
My newest collection that's coming out is High Summer, and for the first time I'll be going back to a more romantic feeling, which is exciting,
Ooh.
but it still feels very much me. It's super modern glamour. So even if it's a little more fluffy than usual, I do feel like my stuff definitely has a feminine touch, even if it's masculine in its design.
But even in what you're wearing today,
Yeah.
you're wearing a jacket, a blazer with a little bit of a
I
masculine
love this
touch.
look.
However,
I
it seems
tell you.
soft, it seems relaxed, it seems comfortable and cozy at the same time, but still sophisticated and a little bit 80s Saint Laurentish flair type of vibe.
Like
You'll
when
never
you're
see
walking
me
into the room,
underdressed, I'll tell you that.
right? I was gonna say, if you walk into the room with this look, you're owning it. Do you know what I mean? Like this is an
I'm
owning it.
paying attention.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I love it. Is Miami influencing that, the color palette? I know this was always your color palette, but is Miami infiltrating this
So,
new?
Miami
phase?
has had a positive effect where I decided that the line would be more transitional. People like
Okay.
to say it's resort wear. It's not resort wear. It's to be worn in cities, but it's warm weather and transitional. So you will never find the outfit you're wearing on your ski trip with me, but you can find things that
Okay.
you could wear throughout the year in a city. It's
Okay.
your stopover on your Euro summer in Rome.
Okay.
And so Miami influenced that part of my business, which was great because I never have to put things on sale if I don't want to, because they'll always carry over. And the end of the spring summer season, we're going into fall here, and you can still wear my pieces throughout. That's been the positive from Miami, and from a business standpoint, it really works. But the negative had been when I first moved, I tried to immerse a little too much, and I wasn't true to myself. And so the coral, and there was
Turquoise.
World.
it was too sexy. It was, which I love to be sexy.
Like when you're in Miami, everything is out and about. You know what I mean?
Not even wear a top, like a bra is now a top. It's a whole other world. I catch myself
Right.
on the West Side Highway. I'm like, you cannot be in a sports bra. This is not Miami Beach, you know? So,
Right.
It's Sue and Mishki walking around. Your biggest point of sale right now is Revolve. Revolve has a really accessible price point. How do you decide to make a collection and still keep in mind that your audience wants something that's affordable and remains good quality?
So there are certain categories that I don't touch for that reason. For example, I would love to create, you know, an athleisure line or, you know, a workout line, but my price would just be too high for what it is made in New York. So I don't go there. I would love to do t-shirts. You know, there are many things I would love to do, but I can't sell it for that price to my customer. And I purposely stay away from that. I focus on, you know, key iconic pieces that I can mitigate the price, and I come in at probably the highest quality at that price point is what I say. If my blazer is around $450, it's the highest quality blazer at $450. The other person selling the blazer at that price is making a lot more money on it than I am. Let's put it that way. But I have a cap on where, you know, my pieces will sell for, and I can ultimately make the decision if there's one piece in there that maybe I make a little less on, but I feel it completes the capsule or the look. And unfortunately, I do have to turn away a lot of ideas and designs that are very minimalistic that I would love to put out there, but I just don't feel my client is ready for. Maybe as she grows with me, you know, we'll get there, but I'm not willing to sacrifice, you know, producing things somewhere else at this point in time. That's just not part of the plan.
It sounds like you really know your audience. You're thinking about who's really buying your product.
I thought she was 20 something. She's not, actually. My audience she's older. She's older than that.
Yeah.
She's like sophisticated.
35, 55?
Yeah, I would say so. And she doesn't blink at the price, and she understands the quality, and she could afford more, but she chooses this. It's a very conscious decision from my client, and that's why she keeps coming back, because she feels like this is her. It's not her splurge, but she still enjoys it. I'm always classic, but it still has to be relevant. You need to give people a reason to buy something.
You don't need to spend a fortune to build a quality wardrobe out there. I think if you know what you're doing and you know how to build it, you're offering pieces that really are staples.
Yeah, when we were young, we were walking around yo-yos with shopping bags, going off our purchases at Scoop or where. Those days that's not cool anymore. It's cool to curate. It's cool to be intentional.
It's hard. Like I'm surprised, and I was admiring your website earlier. I was telling Jason about it, but to be timeless, but also very now, I think that's a hard thing to accomplish. How do you strike that balance?
I appreciate you for saying that. It's like if somebody was a painter, it's a lot easier for someone to do something really splashy and colorful and make an impact and make your mark there. But it's the person that's doing black and white photography. How do they make that more interesting? The devil's in the details, and making things current is the nuance. The thing that I love about my client is that she appreciates that nuance. And so that's how we find each other. And it is really like, if you know, you know. I don't produce more than one run of something at a time. There's 7 in one color of a garment. And so whoever has this blazer that I'm wearing now, I remember there were only 2 other size smalls that were ever made. And it's just me and them. You know, how cool is that? So
that is kind of cool.
Oh, no, that's such a good blazer. We're going to have to bring that out in the
I
collection.
know.
Come on, look at that. I already feel that.
my favorite people.
I'm already going to get a call from my mom that says,
I was just about to say, I'm going on the website after this. You don't have to tell me.
I need that blazer in cream and black.
Exactly.
How has your perspective of the fashion industry shifted since your first launch of the brand and this launch? I mean, you have dealt with editors, stylists, buyers, PR, and also customers. And clearly, the industry has changed. Where have you seen it change the most? Where do you like it's change, and where don't you like it?
I've seen the industry change a lot. I was obviously like more exposed to it when I was living in New York first time round, although I did, relaunch my brand in New York. I think that there are just so many players in the game right now, and I think that's the positive. I think that people have really like tapped into their creative and access this industry at any point in their like life, which I think it's beautiful to see. Where it's gone south, maybe the death of trade shows. That was something that I experienced, which wasn't easy for a lot of brands to overcome. If you come from the culture of selling your seasonal product at this one show, now you have to find alternate ways to find your audience. When I don't love the way something's going, I kind of just do my own thing. I think naturally you find your people and you find your stride. So we were talking about the seasons. There's too many seasons. I can't keep up. Like, I'm sorry, that's a machine that I don't want to be. I do this because I enjoy it and I do it out of love, and I can't love 12 seasons of product.
Well, and when your pieces are timeless, do
Right.
you really need that many?
Necessary.
Yeah, I don't think that's not.
So now I kind of go with what I feel. I think it's important to have a resort collection come out, but I want those people to still be wearing it through the summer. So I don't really show anything else like that. And I think that in the fall, people are now waiting for sale sometimes. Sometimes I skip pre-fall and I just go straight into the crux of it.
Some of my friends who are in the same position as you, they're saying, but we're going to show only twice a year. But guess what? When we show that first year, we're going to have 2 or 3 deliveries.
That's right.
But we're not going to continue to reintroduce new shit every fucking season and try to produce and then get a hotel room and spend money on all.
It's just not necessary. I think it's silly. First of all, I don't shop that way either. I'm not going to push all this product. Absolutely not. So I slowed it down. And that's the beauty of my relationship. I work closely with Curio at the Vienna Bazaar, and I'm very close with their owners, Jeff and Danielle, and they really guide me with what's selling and where.
Gotta get them on the pod. They're great.
Oh, you need to get them both at the same time. They're so
All right,
cool.
this is us inviting Danielle and Jeff to the pod. Hustle Schmear. All right, but back to Kimberly.
Yes. So anyway, they really believe in me. They give me great advice, and we're not afraid to pause and give things time. I don't need to say that item is not going to sell if it didn't sell in the first 2 months because it came out a month before people came back to Miami. We give things a chance, and honestly, it pays off. And that's why they don't put any of my product on sale. They have their sale once a year, and we give people one day to like have a little fun. But other than that, these are classic pieces. So we let them sell out, and they do. I think that's a great lesson in why you don't need 12, drops a year. It's too much.
I appreciate that. This is not my world, so I'm learning a lot. This is so fascinating. I also wanted to talk about
know when deliveries are. She's just walking in stores. I like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting to hear the behind the scenes and really the thought and the detail that goes into so much. We kind of just get to see the final result. It's kind of amazing and impressive how much goes into it.
And then someone was like, "So are you pregnant?" I'm like,
all right, like
breathe.
Slow your roll. Okay. I'm curious because I was looking at your brand, and also digital retail. How is that playing and shaping your brand? Are you utilizing social media in a different way now to elevate your brand or kind of really speak to your audience?
Sure. So we used to have 2 pages on Instagram for Kimberly Taylor. I had my personal and I had the other a few months ago. My old page disappeared. I didn't even look into it. I was like, okay, I guess we're selling everything on my page now. Honestly, though, 80%, 90% of my sales on my website come through my personal Instagram page. This was something very difficult for me. I'm a very behind the scenes person. I had to adapt an entirely new persona to step in front of the camera to sell things. But I do think people want to see a real person. It's been wonderful. It gives me a creative outlet. If I'm not sure what to launch, I can ask everybody directly. And there's a beauty in that. And if someone doesn't like it, they can unfollow you. It's as simple as that.
You built a community that's based on what you're sharing. So
that's right. And if they are not engaged. Trust me. You will know. It's not a secret.
And it's immediate. It's very direct.
It's like,
obviously
nope,
direct.
okay.
But then at the same time, I think that's really hard because you get all of that feedback and sometimes it could be the noisy few and you still want to stick to your authenticness.
But fashion is commerce and art. And if it's not selling or not moving, then it's just a hobby. It's a business.
So
I try to have fun with it. Listen, It's not my real personality. It's my alter ego on there.
Okay.
And I try to have fun with
You're
it.
Sasha Fierce to
Correct.
Beyonce.
It
Okay, got it.
100%. That's how
How far off are the two? How far off?
Yeah.
I do feel comfortable doing that. And most of the things that I post are business related. I mean, I'm showing you my looks, I'm showing you the brands that I also love. There's not much personal on there, but there is a lot of my inspiration and what I'm loving and how I want
It's a curated version of yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Just to get into a little personal.
Oh, are we getting there?
Not yet fully,
You have
but
a Jewish
Okay.
husband for me? What's happening?
not yet, not
Oh,
yet.
wait, I want to get very much
Like-
into that. Can
But
we get into that?
you do have a lot of friends that work in the business.
Yes.
How do you find working with friends, or you're at lunch and all your friends in the business supporting each other? How far is it where you guys can help each other out when it's too much of a favor? I mean, everybody is trying to make it in this rat race here, and it's aggressive.
I keep people around me that are doing things like at whatever point in their career they are. If they're doing something, they're already like attractive to me. I love to be around creatives. I love to be around motivated people. I'm a very supportive friend. I can say that with a lot of confidence. If someone has a project or something that they believe in, I will do my best to support. You need me to be there. You need me to show it. I think that that's just karma. I don't ask for favors ever, but I do have a lot of people doing very nice things for me. That's just the way I keep it. Aside from that, I'm at a point in my life, I want to work with people that believe in me. I would like things to come to me than to chase. I'm not chasing, I'm attracting. And so Revolve happened super organically.
Say that again, Kimberly. I'm not chasing.
That I think that the relationships formed out of that concept are the ones that appeal to me the most and that have been the most sustainable. I consider the people that I work with family. I trust them. I want to support their projects the same way. For example, with Curio, they have this sale once a year. I am there trying everything on their Instagram, being a maniac in the fitting rooms. Like it's the best day of my life. I love it, but it's also like we're there for each other. So
It's beautiful, actually. It's a community, particularly like you're in it yourself. Like this is you, your brand, but you have this larger community who are maybe experiencing the same things, or you're bouncing ideas off of one another. I think that's great.
Especially when it's authentic and genuine, just how Kimberly and I met, actually.
How'd
My
you
bags were at Curio. Faina, she was wearing them on an Instagram reel, and then she reached out, and I was like, oh my God, I love who you are. And we had coffee, and boom, there was history.
Oh, God, I didn't
But
know
it was
that.
a
That's
genuine,
awesome.
organic connection, right? And that's what I think, like you said, makes it catapult, because if there's a vibe and there's a genuine authenticity, doors open, walls come down.
Okay, before we get into, because I want to get into a little bit of a schmooze fest about your personal life, but before that, I want to know what's next. Are there any collaborations or drops that we should be looking out for? And then what's one piece of advice for someone looking to start over, whether it's in business, fashion, or just showing up for themselves? Next.
Hi, Summer dropping in a week. Super excited about that. The clothes you'll pack on your next fabulous vacation. That's happening, and it will happen at Revolve, at Curio, and on my website. All three at the same time. It's small but mighty.
Amazing.
I love it. So that's what's on the horizon. After that, I'll start focusing on the next. But until then, I want to live in that moment and enjoy that launch.
And then advice, what would you tell
You have
somebody?
to be true to yourself. If you would like to start something, you don't have to have everything figured out. I'm saying just do it. Stop making excuses. You'll feel good if you're doing something that fulfills you. If you're too scared to take the leap in your full time, do it in your part time, but do it. If you spend all this time analyzing it, that's just going to give you anxiety. What's the big deal? So you fail. So what?
Get caught up in that analysis paralysis, and then what do you have to show for it?
That's not my world. I don't do the analysis paralysis. There's no time for that.
Neither.
Life is for the living. Like, let's fucking go.
Yes.
Yalla.
Amen to that. All right, now I want to take like what you said before. You don't chase, you attract. I love that line. I'm going to write that down for later. But does that
There'll be lipstick on her mirror in the foyer when you walk in, okay?
so true? That's such a good energy to put out there. I now want to hear a little bit more. Like, are you bringing that to your personal life, to your dating life, or is that
100%.
hard to do? You are.
It's very
Okay.
hard to do, but 100% have to.
So I want to hear about it. Like, what's that like,
So-
running a business, but also just being a woman?
Let's be honest. I never chased men, for better or worse. I never chased men. It's not for me. I'm Middle Eastern. Like, that's not What's
I'm
happening?
Agreed.
chasing men all the time.
Oh,
Chasing
you are. Okay. But the Middle Eastern thing, like just because I can say this too, men are kind of out, would you say more of like the alpha or
I would
they're
say so. I
focused
think
on,
if someone
yeah.
wants to, they will go for you. They know where to find you. You do have to put yourself out there. I do think like, being single, no one's knocking at your door. Not like if you're home time and you never leave and you don't make effort, then you're not putting yourself in a very good position.
You're not going to find your husband on the couch popping
Oh,
bonbons and
but let
eating
me tell you,
popcorn.
I don't look like a slob when I go to Starbucks to pick up my coffee. Never know. So, no.
So where are you going? Really, right now, it's a struggle. No one loves the dating apps, but I think people are trying to get back to in real life, but it's challenging.
I
And not everybody wants to grab a drink at a bar and meet people that way either.
Daytime is important. I agree with you. And listen, I think you just have to flirt with the world. I hang out with different groups of people. I think if you hang out with one person all the time, you're just limiting yourself. I have different friends in different groups, and you don't have to be so close with everybody. I have my close circle, and then I also have people that are just great to spend time with.
Are you finding it easier in Miami or New York, or do you kind of go back and forth?
I mean, you're both.
Miami.
I mean, listen, right
Yeah.
now I feel New York is having a moment. I think it's all in your approach. People can say Miami is the worst place to date. I have a lot of fun dating in Miami. People said
Mhm.
New York is the worst place to date. I had a lot of fun dating in New York. For me, I think being open and like I said, not everything has to revolve around that. That's when you put out
Right.
vibes. That's not we are busy. We have a life. We're living our life, being happy.
Right.
And that's when good things come to you. And if you're chasing something, you will never
No, I agree.
it's hard to put yourself out there in this world. People are constantly critiquing you, and I give people a lot of credit.
Okay, I love that. I was also thinking back to the Middle Eastern thing, the
Yeah.
Syrian culture. That's my dad. He was a hustler. I got to see that. Do you attribute a lot of that to your hustle, or is it your dad? Where are you getting that from?
No, totally. I think that growing up, I would say that I was around a lot of entrepreneurs. Someone once told me my family didn't work in fashion; they worked in garments. But
Garments, schmatas, whatever you want to call it,
whatever
okay?
you would like to call it, that's fine. I loved it and I ate it up. And I think that that's a skill in itself. And I think that some people focus so much on the intellectual side of learning. And I think that street smarts are really, really
Mhm.
important. I think they both hold, value and you need them both.
Right.
So I would attribute my street smarts to my upbringing. I would say that
I love
was
that.
something learned as
And I think that's really unique. I think you can go get the intellectual piece, but the street smarts is you've got to just sort of live it and be
Yes.
around it. And not everyone is sort of
I would give the
fortunate
advice
enough to
work for
have.
someone that's doing what you would like to do and learn from them. Like you'll learn so much more than you can learn in a book.
Out of a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
So-
that. Okay. Are we ready?
Okay, here we go. Now it's time for This and That with Kimberly Taylor. Vintage Chanel or new season Saint Laurent?
Vintage Chanel.
Okay. Blazer or bomber?
Blazer.
Yeah, obviously.
Mini dress or wide length trouser?
Wide leg trousers.
Slick bun or beachy wave?
Slick bun all day.
Brunch with the girls or dinner with the boy?
Dinner with the boy, I'm sorry.
I love it. I love it.
They'll forgive me.
Lajmeen or Barekas? How do I
it's
say it, Liz?
It's Lahamajine.
Lahmacun?
I was trying to, yeah,
I have
Lahamajine.
lahmacun in my freezer.
Me too. Oh my God, me too.
Okay. Rewind. What is lamajine, please?
It's like
Kim-
a Turkish pizza almost. It's sweet meat on a pizza dough. It's the most
Yeah, it's like meat.
thing you'll
It's like a mini meat pie. I had a Shabbat Friday. Everyone loves it, even if you're not Syrian.
Not sure you
Everyone
will love
loves
it, I guarantee. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. It's
Okay,
badass.
speaking
Look,
of food, we're gonna go right into Nasha the Day. Nasha the Day is where we talk about our favorite restaurant or our favorite recipe or one we're not liking so much. And I'll go first.
Okay.
Right now, I am loving Mika in Coral Gables. It is,
Ooh.
it's quite an establishment. It's the chef from Maria, and they have amazing pastas and
sounds
fish.
good. I
A
love it.
great veal parm, and my favorite dessert, the budino.
What's
That's right.
that?
The budino is like a chocolate ball with hard shell, and then it goes right into this mousse inside. Amazing.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. Okay, I'll go next. Last night I went to a friend's event for the Tribeca Film Festival, and it was at Brandy Library. I had never been there before. It's in Tribeca, and the vibes are immaculate. The collection of liquor and brandy was on another level. I don't even know if I appreciated it enough. If you were really into it, you would love it. And then the food that they had was fantastic. So I would highly recommend going back.
All right, Kimberly.
I went to the opening of Novatore in Edgewater. The aesthetic is beautiful in there. The bar is immaculate. The setting is romantic. It's very close by. They have a delicious pistachio gelato, like to die for. Cacio pepe, chef's kiss, neighborhood gem. Check it out.
Okay, I'm adding it to the list for my next Miami.
Yes.
All right, and we're going to finish off with our mitzvah of the day. Liz, take it away.
Okay, I was thinking this just happened over the weekend, and I think you can be in New York or Miami and you're busy and you're rushing around. And there's always, particularly in New York, someone on the street looking for food. Stop, actually look up from your phone, take a break, go buy a hot dog for the guy on the street. I think, particularly as a New Yorker, you can kind of be in your own zone and just take a moment and be present with everyone around you.
Thank you for joining us with Kimberly Taylor Gindi on this episode of Hustle and Schmear. You were amazing. Liz, Kimberly, please read us out.
All right. Don't forget, the hustle is real.
The schmear is extra.
All right, everybody. See you next time. Have a good
Thank
one.
you.